Hi, parents. I just wanted to give you a brief introduction into composer study, why kids do composer study, and then a few ideas on ways to do it with your kindergarten or Form 1 students. So I'm going to put a link to a Simply Charlotte Mason website that's really brief, and I'll read the excerpt from it about what composer study is and how to do it. So it says, get to know 3 great composers per year. That was Charlotte Mason's ideal, was that kids would interact with 3 different composers' styles in one school year. Simply listen to the music of a composer at various times throughout the week. Tell your children which composer you're listening to. You could play the music in the vehicle while running errands, or play it in the background during a meal. Then, once a week, focus on one piece and learn more about it. One piece. Linger with the same composer for several weeks until the children become familiar with his style. Add a short biography into the mix, and your children will grow to enjoy and appreciate great music. And so, it's not much more complicated than that. We want to expose our children to great and beautiful music and give them an opportunity to interact with it regularly so that they grow their own appreciation for it. It's not, the goal is not that they're sitting and just listening, staring at a wall, not having fun. And so because of that, we chose Carnival of the Animals to study by Camille Saint-Saëns. So Form 1 studied it last year, but we thought with this online schooling, we would just go back to it for Form 1, and then kindergarten, it's their first time. We bought this book, and it came with, for kindergarten, these half sheets. I know you saw the one for fossils 2 weeks ago. So the way that we thought we would interact with Carnival of the Animals was just that the kids would hear the poem from this book and then listen to the corresponding song and then draw on the sheet while they were listening. So, you could go as basic as put the song on, listen to it with your child, talk about what you enjoyed. That is composer study. However, we know that kindergartners are wiggly and maybe want to move around, or maybe they want to hear something else or see a picture. That's different than just listening. So the ways that you can interact with your child with composer study would be listening to the poem that I've recorded. So you can play the poem, talk about the poem for a second, talk about what animal they're going to hear, then have them listen to the song, which is going to be pretty short. I think this one is pretty short. Then they can fill out this half sheet while you're playing it again. And by filling this out, they can color the cello. You can point out that it's the cello, which is the instrument in that specific piece. And they can also, you can prompt them to draw what they're hearing, or maybe draw the colors that they think of when they hear it. The Swan is very slow and it's a very beautiful song. It's a lot different than Fossils, which was 2 weeks ago. So that is one way that you can interact, kindergartners can interact with composer study. It makes it a bit more hands-on, a bit more tangible, and we have been collecting these to put into their portfolio at the end of the year. For Form 1, you can bump up the rigor a little bit more. You can have them draw what they've heard, and for some kids that's not super natural, so I wouldn't expect a child to produce a beautiful drawing based on what they've heard, but prompting them like, what is this making you think of? The title's called The Swan, so what does this scene look like while you're listening? They could draw it. And then I also sent home the listening 10 times 2 activity, which I realized looked great on paper, but was maybe a little difficult to interact with. But the goal was just have your child listen to it and have them come up with words. This is a great time to use a thesaurus or a dictionary and to interact with that. To be like, hey, you said that this sounds beautiful. What are some other words that might be even more accurate? It could be, stunning. It could be slow. It could be, and then you can look up a synonym for slow. So they don't have to think of phrases. They can think of one word, and then you can kind of make it into a reading lesson or a vocab lesson by using the thesaurus. And then as they're older, they have the option to write them down. So first grade, ideally, parents should write the words for them. Second grade, they can write as many as they're able to or as many as they're excited to write, and then you can continue. And third grade should be writing all of their words on their own, but you might have to help them with spelling. That's another way that they can interact. Again, it's not necessary. If you tried this activity and you're like, that was the hardest part of my week, you don't have to do it. I just wanted to give you different options of ways to interact with composer study. The goal is that the child is being exposed to a composer, and that once a week you sit down and you listen to one piece that they've done and talk about it. And I think it's important at the end of this video to hit back on the fact that they should sit quietly and listen. Yes, a lot of the songs you want to dance to, you want to move around to, you can have them do that the second time they listen to it. But the first time, just teaching them a method of appreciating music. We're just going to sit for 2 minutes. You can close your eyes and we're going to listen to this song together. And then opening your eyes and say, what did you hear? What did you notice? What instruments? Was it fast or slow? Did it make you feel happy or sad? Before going into any of the other activities. So turning on the music, playing the song, and then going into, for kindergarten, the half sheet. For Form 1, they can draw or they can write some words. And then at the end, if they want to dance to it, that's great. Turn it back on and let them dance to it, because that means that they're developing a love and appreciation for it. So that was sort of long-winded, but the goal is that we remember that composer study is just exposing our kids to beautiful music and helping them figure out how they can listen to it and interact with it. So with that, I hope you have a lot of fun with composer study this week. It is a beautiful song. And as always, you can have Carnival of the Animals on when you're driving somewhere. You can have it on in the afternoon and have the kids be guessing which animals they are listening to, because all of them at this point, most of them have heard almost every song and connected it to an animal. So I hope you have a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning into this video. I will link this website. It has a few other composers that you might want to check out on your free time. And then you will have this sent home with you and another copy of this for Form 1 parents. So thank you. Good luck with composer study and let me know how it goes.